So I decided to make this quick video because a lot of people at the beginning of the semester said I have experience in Excel, but I have no idea what Access is. I've never used it. I don't know what it is. So I just want to make this a personal example of mine to describe to you what Access is, what a database is, why you would use it, how to use it. The assignments will do that as well, but they kind of bring you in expecting you know what Access is. So I want to give you a brief demonstration of a real life example and where we would use Access. So Access is for databases. More importantly, it's for relational databases. That word relational is very important. Think of it as relationships. You can create a relationship between one or many things. One to many is the most common relationship, as we will see. But if you think about this, one teacher can have many students. One parent can have many children. It's a one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to give you a brief example of that with orders. So like if you bought something from Amazon, one person can have many orders, right? You don't just order one thing and then you're like, oh, now I have to make another account to make another order. No, your one customer ID, or in this case, your one Amazon account, can make many orders. One order can't be made by many people. So if you ordered a chair from Amazon, many people can order the same thing, but they can't order the exact same one, right? Because there's only one of them. Like, yes, they may be mass produced, but your chair is your chair. You don't share it with other people in other households. So that is your order. You ordered it at this date, this time, with this credit card, this manufacturer, this shipping information. That is your chair. It's unique to you. So one order, one person to many orders. So enough talking, let's get into this. We create these relationships in these databases through tables. So I'm going to, when you open Access, you will be presented with a blank table, table 1. I'm going to hit save, and I'm just going to call this customers, because we're going to make a customers and order database, just to explain this scenario. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into design view. In Access, you have multiple different views. You have datasheet view, which is where you can enter some data. And you have design view, which is where you can go under the hood or behind the scenes and set up what's going to happen. You can set up what's going to happen over here too, but in here, you just have much more reign and power to do so. So here we have ID. I'm going to change this ID to a customer ID. So I'm going to call this customer ID. Something important about Access is you will learn quickly that computers, especially in Access and programming in general, hate white spaces. So you're not allowed to put white spaces between the text here. If you do this, it's not going to work. We'll talk about how to fix that later on, but you just capitalize when you get to a new word. The data type for this is an auto number, which means it will go up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I'm the first customer, I'm number 1. If I'm the 10th customer, I'm number 10. That means the number will automatically be generated. This little key here means it is our primary key. Primary keys are very important in relational databases. They are our unique identifier, kind of like your social security number or your student ID. That is a unique identifier, right? If you call up a bank, they don't ask for your name, they ask for your social, because someone else may be called John Smith. If they type in John Smith, how many people are going to pop up that have a bank account with them? If they type in your social security number, how many people are going to pop up who have a bank account with them? 1, because there's only one social security number attached to you, and that is your social security number. So a unique identifier is important here, and that is the primary key. We're going to have first name following that structure of no spacing. Short text is fine. That just means like alphabetical. We'll have last name, and then we will have date joined. And date joined, if we hit over here, we can say is a date and time. And we'll get more into that in just a minute. But this is our customers table that we've set up. We have customer IDs, we have the first name, the last name, and the date joined. So if I hit save on this and send us back into datasheet view, you can see that I now have all of these fields right here. So I can't actually do anything in customer ID because remember it is that auto number, it will automatically update. So if I go to create my first customer, and we'll just use myself as an example, I say James, and see that number 1 magically appeared because it is an auto number. So James is now our first customer. James Wynyard, we will say joined on 12/12/2010. So there is our first customer. If I come back over here and I click on my date and time, what I want to do is I want to make sure that my date and time is in the correct format. So down here, you can go to format and you could pick what type of date you want. So we could say use a medium date, a short date, whatever you prefer. We'll just leave this to default for now, which is what we've typed in here. I'm just going to keep adding customers down and showing you what happens. So there is a lot of typing when it comes to setting up Acess. You can see that Tom is number 2, and we'll say that he joined on this date. We'll go down, and Sarah is number 3, and we'll fill these in. And I'm just going to keep filling these in. I'm going to pause the video to make this a little shorter for you, and when we come back, this will all be completed. So here are all of my customers finished. You can see that I have 9 customers. Let's make a temp just to round it up. So let's make our temp Travis Crab 2020. Okay, so here are my customers. I'm going to save the customers table. This is all we have right now, a list of customers. What good are customers who aren't making orders? But a customer doesn't have to make an order, right? You can sign up for an account, again, on Amazon, and you don't have to make an order right away, but you have the ability to. So let's go ahead to the Create tab up here. Very similar to Excel, you have your tabs and groups. So we're on the Create tab. I'm going to make another table. Let's make it in Table Design, and we will call this the Orders table. So let me save this and call it Orders. We can't save the table because there's no fields, so let's add some fields first. We're going to have order ID, which should be an auto number. And then we'll have date ordered, which is when the user ordered our item, right? And we will put that as a medium date. Then we'll have a price, and we'll have a customer ID following that spacing. Price should be a currency, and customer ID would be a number. Now, what's important here is, remember, let's call this orders now. There's no primary key, that's fine for now. But remember, customer ID is actually inside of here, customer ID. Now, when we first started this video, I mentioned that this is a relational database. Acess is relational database software where you have a relationship between one or more things. And what happens here is when something updates in one, it will automatically update like the other, in the other, kind of like some of the stuff we've seen in Excel, but a little more in depth than that, as we will see. So in order to create this relationship, you have to have a common feature, a common field, which is why here in orders, I have a customer ID. And over here in customers, I have a customer ID. Now, before we talk a little bit more about that, order ID is our primary key here, because again, remember, a primary key is your unique identifier. So in this case, whatever order I make is my unique identifier. So going back to the Amazon example, if I go to Amazon and I make an order, I get an order number. If anything goes wrong with it or I want to track it, I type in that order number. No one else has that order number and ever will have that order number because it's unique to me, right? That is a unique identifier. Now, customer ID over in our customers table is our primary key, but it also exists in the orders table. Now, it's not the primary key of the orders table because order ID is the primary key of the orders table. Now, a primary key in one table, if it exists in a second table, that is what we call a foreign key, and that is what allows us again to create that relationship between the two. So right now there is no relationship between the two, but we can build one upon customer ID because these two tables can be connected by their common feature. So let's go ahead and do that. Good practice that you close everything out before you make any changes to a database. Come up to Database Tools, hit Relationships, you can double click on these and they will add them in for you. Right now, we can see that there is no physical relationship. They're not attached in any way. But what we can do is we can hold our click on customer ID, which is the primary key, and drag it to customer ID over here. That will bring up this box. We're going to press all three of these. We will learn exactly what these mean as we go through the assignments. I'm not going to get into details right now, but it just enforces that everything is connected. So if you removed it from one, it is removed from the other as well. One is dependent on the other. So like if we delete the customer, we also delete the order, that type of thing. You may not want to do that, but in most cases you probably will. So if we click this, we have a one-to-many relationship. Again, something I brought up very early on in this video is the most common of relationship. One customer, one, can have many, or infinity, orders. One customer to many orders. That is a relationship. So now whatever we do in customer is attached to orders. So let me close this and save and prove to you that this relationship exists. So let's start by filling out our orders. So let's say, and remember order ID is an auto number. We have a calendar here, so we could pick some dates that the orders were made, but I'm just going to type them in. So 12th of December 19, we'll say was $50, and the customer ID was 1, which if we come over here to the customers table, this means that customer ID 1, James, ordered $50 order on the 12th of December 2019. We can keep coming down here. So say, I'm just filling these out. As you can see, the order number is updating as I'm coming down here. And you can see that I use the same customer ID for that number 1, James again, because many orders to one customer. I'm not limited to one order, so one customer can keep making these orders, as you can see here. I'm just going to keep filling this down. I think this is a good point to where I can pause the video and then come back when I'm done typing these out. Okay, so I have 9 orders. Some of them are repeating customers, some customers didn't make orders. You can see them here. They're for varying prices on different dates. These are the order IDs, and these are the customers who bought them. You can see, like I said before, I purchased many things, some people purchased one, etc., etc. If I wanted to create a 10th one, and let's just say today, so today is the 15th of June, we'll do it like this. We'll say it's a $50 order, and I'll say customer 50 ordered this. I get this error message that says you cannot add or change a record because related records is required in table customer. So remember we made that relationship between the two? The database is telling me that I can't create an order for customer 50 because customer 50 does not exist. That is the power of relational databases. You can see how you could stretch that and take it further, but it's not allowing me to create this record because the customer doesn't exist. Of course, you don't want to be able to create records of invisible or non-existent customers, right? So let me save this out, close this, and that is the basics of relational databases. But why can they be so useful on top of that? Well, we can do something called querying a database, which is questioning, right? It's just fancy terminology for questioning. So let's ask some questions. We can do multi-table queries or single table queries. You can get data from multiple different sources. So let's do some of these. Let's say I want to write a query that finds out who is the big spenders in my customer base. So to do that, we can go up to create and we can press query design, and then we can add the tables that we want. So in this case, I want customers and orders, and then you can just double click on what fields you would like and they would update to your query down here. So I can say for this, I want to know who's spending big money in my at my company. So I can say, give me the customer ID from the customers table. I would also like the last name, and I need to know the price. Okay, so I want to see all the customers, the last name, and the price. If I run this query, here's the information. So here's all the orders, the customer ID, their last name, and the price. I don't want to see all of that there. I only want to see the people, certain criteria down here. I only want to see the people who have spent greater than or equal to 500. So if we run this, we now only see that there's 2 people who have spent $500 or more. So it's that easy to query a database, multiple tables. Let's save this as big spenders. And then I'm just going to do one more thing before we finish up our quick intro to Acess here. And this is going to be a little more advanced, but a query nonetheless. So I'm going to make another query in Design View, add both of the tables in here, and I'm going to save this as long-term members with at least one order. So quite the mouthful. But I want to see people who have been a member of our website, whatever it may be, a member of our website, and they've made at least one order, because I want to send them a coupon or a voucher or a thank you, something like that. Right, so I need to see all my customer IDs with their first name and the last name. I need to know the date they joined, and I need to see the order ID, meaning that they do have an order. So to do this, I can say that the order ID is not null. Null is very common in databases. We'll get into it again in the assignments, but null means empty or nothing, right? So is not null means the order ID is not empty. It's not blank. If it's not blank, then it has something, meaning they made an order. So if the customer's order ID is not blank, they have made at least one order. So this shows me all of the people who have made orders. But I want to know people who joined, we can say, less than 1/1/2015, and it will add the pound signs between it for us. That's the format. So this will show me criteria where order ID is not null, so they've ordered something, and the date joined was before 2015. See how the table has shrunk a little bit. That didn't quite work though, so let's see what went wrong here. And I believe that's because I had it in the or row, not the criteria. So the criteria has to be both of these things, not one or the other. If we run this, we only get 3 people. They are all in 2010. If I change this to 2018, we'd probably get a few more people. There we go. Here's the 2017 and 2015. I'm going to keep it at 2015 though. So only these 3 people, and we see me twice. We can work with duplicates, but again, it's something a lot more advanced we will get into in the future. But here is just a quick introduction, really brief, really quick, just showing you the power of Acess and how we can go about using it.